Hey everyone, hope you all are well. I'm starting out today by priming the eye area with the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. I'm just adding a few swipes of this across the eye area, and then I'm switching to a Wet n Wild brush now just to tap and blend this primer into the skin, and this will just ensure that our shadows apply and blend nice and easily and make sure that they last all day long too, which is extremely important. Today I'm busting out the Balm Nude'Tude eyeshadow palette. I haven't used it in years. It's a lovely little palette that contains 12 eyeshadows and it includes a double-ended eyeshadow slash liner brush. The first shade I'm taking is called Sultry. This is a nice medium toned brown with a hint of warmth to it. It's a little bit soft in texture in the palette, so it does crumble slightly, so just make sure that you tap off the excess product before you apply to the eye. And I'm just adding this now into the crease with a crown brush crease brush. This is nice and fluffy, so it does a good job at coating a large area. And I'm just now blending back and forward, taking my time to lay down the colour in the crease. And as you know, when I have less product on my brush, I do move it up a little bit higher in the crease. And I do this moving a little higher each time until I have nothing left on my brush. And this just gives me a nice gradient, so the colour will just be darkest in the deepest part of the crease and then it fades out upwards from there. So I'm going in now with a second layer, as I always feel, for the most part anyway. With the first layer you'll either get a really nice soft blend or a bold colour payoff, not both. I'm happy with the blend, so I just want to go in and intensify that colour to build it up to its true potential. So next then I'm taking the shade Sleek. This is a very dark, almost black brown I would say, and it has a matte finish to it. The colour payoff with this shade is excellent. As you can see, I've just very lightly tapped my brush off the skin and the pigmentation is fantastic. This shadow I found wasn't really powdery in the pan like the previous one, and I've just picked it up on a Sedona Lace EB09 Universal Blending Brush, as it's a bit smaller than the last brush that I used, and this will just enable me to be a bit more precise with my application. As it's a darker shade, I don't want to go overboard with it. At this point it is very easy to get carried away with those deeper tones. So I've just been mainly focusing this shadow on the outer portion of the eye. I've tapped it down onto the outer third of the lid, and then I'm pulling it up into the crease and just flicking it upwards and outwards on that outer edge, just to give me a nice elongated feel to the look. I'm taking up some of the shade Selfish. This is a beautiful kind of frosty taupish grey. It's really lovely, and I've picked it up on a flat C-shaped brush from Blank Canvas Cosmetics. I'm adding this to the inner half of the eyelid, just tapping it down. And with this shade and pretty much all of them really, I didn't have a major issue with fallout, if any at all. So I'm taking now some of the shade Sophisticated on that same C-shaped brush. I've just flipped it over to the other side. This is more of a darker, cool tone shimmery bronze, and I'm applying this to the remainder of the lid, just patting it down gently, and then I'm flipping my brush over and tapping it down back and forth between the two shades just to make sure that they fade nicely into one another. Moving on down to the lower lash line now, I'm taking a little bit more of that sultry shade on a small bullet shaped brush, and I'm running this back and forward just down along there, making my way into the inner corner. And then I'm taking up some of the shade Sleek again, and I'm using that same brush to wriggle this shadow right in at the lash line, and I'm carefully fading this about halfway across the lower lash line and making sure that I loop it up onto the lid so that everything connects up nicely. I don't want any gaps in the shadow on that outer edge. So I'm now taking a small C-shaped brush from Sedona Lace. I've dipped it into Serious, and this is a deep dark black shadow. It's got a matte finish to it, and I love this shade. It's so intense and it is hard to get a really decent matte black eyeshadow. So I'm just wriggling this then in at the lash line, slightly above it then on that outer third of the eye, creating a shape like I would if I was applying a winged liner, and then I'm pulling it up into the crease to fade it out. So next then I'm taking an angled brush and I'm picking up a little bit more of that Serious shade, and I'm placing the brush just underneath my lashes, pressing the product into the lash line to add some definition to that area. And again, I'm not taking the darker shades all the way across that lower lash line, I'm taking them about halfway. So now I'm using the KVD Beauty Retractable Cake Liner in the shade Trooper to line both my top and bottom waterline, just by closing my eye around the pencil, running it back and forward. And this is definitely my favourite black liner at the moment. It's nice and it's creamy and it stays put all day. So I've added some of the eye lower bauble lashes now, and then I'm using a Sigma pencil brush just to apply a touch of that shade Sassy. This is a frosty white and it's insanely pigmented, so I'm just adding a touch of it, then wiping off my brush and then blending the edges because I just want a subtle highlight to that area. Then I'm using the Lancome Lashy Doll Mascara to coat the top and bottom lashes, and then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you found it helpful and easy to follow. If you did, please do let me know, and I'll catch you all in a video really soon.